Going live now. Alright, 7 o'clock. Appreciate everybody that follow along live on Facebook. Don't forget YouTube. We have a channel there. Hit subscribe, if you will, while you're checking those videos out. Alright. Is this frequency in use? This is Kilo 4 Bravo Whiskey Alpha, net control for Middle Tennessee Simplex. This is net number 172. My name is Ricky, and I'm located in Portland, Tennessee. Stations with emergency or priority traffic can break in any time. If there should be any emergency or priority traffic, we'll put the net on hold and help in any way we can. Alright, Mike, I got you checked in. This net meets every Thursday at 7 p.m. You can find us live on Facebook. All you have to do is go to Middle Tennessee Simplex 147.555. Type it in just like that, and we're live now. You can also find us on YouTube. Type it in the same way, and be sure to hit like and subscribe while you're there. This is an open topic net and is open to all FCC licensed amateur radio operators. The purpose of this net is to have fun and promote amateur radio use. If I do not acknowledge your call, please try again. Once again, any licensed amateur radio operator is welcome to check in. We do ask that you follow all FCC Part 97 rules and regulations when identifying your station. We'll start the net tonight with announcements. If you have an announcement, please call now. Alright, well, I'm not hearing anything, but I do want to make one announcement. We have a brother that's needing prayer. Kilo Quebec 4, November Kilo Charlie. That's Tony over in Hartsville. He's been in hospital for about 6 days. He's got septic pneumonia, and he is in desperate need of our prayers. We want to keep him lifted up, so be sure to remember that tonight when you say your evening prayers. Again, that was Tony Creasy in Hartsville. Kilo Quebec 4, November Kilo Charlie. So be sure to remember that. And as far as announcements, I do want you all to remember that we have Simplex nets in the area, one out of Bowling Green, and that's on frequency 146430, Tuesdays and Friday nights at 7:30. I do want to mention that this Friday night, coming up tomorrow, he will not be doing a net. So you can pick them back up this following Tuesday coming up at 7:30 on 146430. Also, we have a Mount Juliet net at 8 o'clock on at 8 o'clock on Wednesdays and Saturdays on frequency 146415. Again, let me do that again because I messed it up. On frequency 16415, 8 o'clock Wednesday and Saturday. All right. Don't forget the Monday night roundtable net on the W4LKZ linked repeater system. I do that net starting at 7 o'clock. The repeater I use is the closest one to Portland is the 146880. Find the closest net to you by going to www.scara.net. And there's a list of all the repeaters, their frequencies, tones, and all of that. So be sure to check that out. Join me on Monday night for the Roundtable Net. Also on that same link repeater system on Sundays at 6 o'clock is the Weekend Wind Down Net. Very good net, a lot of information, a lot of radio-related topics. They also have club calendars for all of Middle Tennessee pretty much. So be sure to check that out at 6 o'clock on Sundays on the W4LKZ linked repeater system. All right, well, I logged on to a few of the check-ins. Anybody else have announcements? All right, picked up a couple over here. I do want to remind, one of them that we got so far was Kilo Mike 4 Yankee Romeo Foxtrot. And I do want to remind everybody, I don't know if he's over in the comments. Mike, is that 10 meter mid-10 phone net still on? Are you doing it, or because I'll announce it if you are. He's going through therapy right now, so he's not at a radio, but I'm waiting for him to maybe respond on Facebook. So anyway, but I'm going to go ahead and announce it because I'm thinking he's probably doing it or somebody else is covering for him. But that's on Sundays at 8 o'clock. Mid-10 phone net on 10 meters 28415. So, and they could jump over to a few other frequencies, but if you get there at 8 o'clock on 28415, you can follow them along to the other frequencies. And he just responded and said, yes, I'm still doing it at 8 o'clock. All right. I encourage you all to go to Facebook because you can keep up with some of the stuff that's going on outside the radio. You know, we have a Facebook page. We're live, and you can keep up with the comments there. I encourage you to do that. All right, let me catch up in my brain of where I'm left off at, and I'll be right back. All right, well, that didn't take too long. I was acknowledging some of the check-ins. Kilo November 4, Tango Juliet Foxtrot, Rick in Ashland City. Kilo 4, Romeo Juliet Victor, Eric. Boy, I'll be glad when you get an antenna up where you can reach me down here and I can hear you. We'd be glad to have you check in and be able to hear you on the over the airways. But hey, we'll get you checked in any way we can. So I appreciate you checking in. The only means you have. All right, here, let's see, and we got another one, Kilo India 4, November Delta November, David in Reedyville, checking in. We appreciate you, David, checking in. Got that. I'm all caught up now, so I'm gonna give somebody else some time to check in. But before we do, I got a trivia question, and it's a good one. So hang on, I'm going to get back to it in a minute. All right, before we get check-ins, because even if we get some no traffic check-ins, you still might want to play along. So that's why I give the trivia question first. All right, here it goes. Which state has the apple cider as their state drink? And it's going to be a little tougher this time because I'm going to give you 4 choices to pick from, because if this might be one you all know, so I'm going to make it tough, and if you don't know, it's going to be even tougher. So the states is Vermont, New Hampshire, Connecticut, or New York. So it's one of those, and you know, there's no put them in order. Either you just pick the state that has apple cider as their state drink. All right, we'll take check-ins from anybody, anywhere. Call now. All right, last station. You're going to have to come back. I had my volume turned down.
Well, I'll tell you, Ricky. It's Danny, City, Ford, Dillon, and Mobile.
All right, Danny, got you that time. But yeah, I looked over and I seen the bars, but I wasn't hearing nothing, and I had the volume turned down for some reason. Radio ain't going to work without volume.
All right. Well, you have a good night. I'm fixing to drop off the ridge here, but I was just like, all right.
All right, Danny. Kilo Delta 4, Golf Oscar November, checking in. And appreciate that. All right. You're still taking check-ins from anybody, anywhere. Call now. All right, Kilo 4, Bravo Tango November, and I'm thinking I don't want to go out on a limb. Just go ahead and give me your name, because I can't think of it right off. Okay, Kilo 4, Bravo Tango November. What's your name again? Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, you're coming in. I just seen where you have been. You're trying your beam out. It's working. You can find out how well by just going to the Facebook page. Well, hey, you're already following it. What am I saying? But, yeah, I got a copy on you. No, and I forgot, but I will. I'll announce that here in just a little bit.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It's going to be over there at that Lucy Martin Ball Field, 2295 Old State Highway 11 in Greenbrier, Tennessee. It's going to be brought to you by the Robertson County Amateur Radio Club, the Nashville Amateur Radio Club, and the Sumner County Amateur Radio Association. They got, incentive 101, pump stunts, they got emergency demos, they're going to have a satellite class demo, and a go-get challenge, and a punch on the air, and then you're going to follow it up with a round table with your helpers. So if you're out and about looking for something to do this weekend, come on by and see us. I might be there for a few hours. I know Doug, I'm getting Doug's call time right now. I know Doug's going to be doing that punch on the air. Where a lot of us put a lot of time into it. I haven't put no time into it, just trying to pass the word for all of them. I'm a member of all three of the clubs. Just trying to pass the word. I'm going to take a shot at your trivia question. I'm going to say it's Vermont. I was thinking Michigan. I said I was going to say that you gave me the answer. I'm going to try Vermont.
All right, well, I'm going to that was my answer, but I'm not going to tell you if it was right yet or not, so you're going to have to wait till a little bit later. But that was what I picked, was Vermont. For some reason or another, it just felt right. But yeah, thank you for going ahead and announcing that co-op at 9 o'clock, starting at 9 o'clock in Greenbrier at Lewis Martin, I believe at Lewis Martin Baseball Park down there. And yeah, not to mention the prizes. Oh, they're going to be giving away prizes almost every hour, and one of them is like a worth $2,000. I guess the grand prize, some kind of antenna that's for or an antenna tower or something for what they call those places where you can't really have stuff. MOA or HOAs, yeah, an HOA antenna or something. Is that right?
If I remember correctly, I don't know what all the prizes are, but they were talking about a self-incentive for an HOA. I think it was one of those flagpoles. I think that's what I heard correctly at the club meeting in Robertson County last Thursday. That's why I wasn't on here Thursday. I believe that's right, Rick. I was just supposed to think that is what it is, and if it is, that is a pretty good thing. I wouldn't know what I'd do with one because I got a 34-foot tower up there. But for someone who lives in an HOA, that'd be a good prize for someone to win.
Oh yeah, I could use that myself. I tell you, I'm not a HOA, but man, they say the total package, it's a package deal, and it is a flagpole of some kind that you raise up, and I can't remember everything, but I think the total value works up to be around $2,000. They said the other night on my Monday Night Net.
That's good to know. It's good to know. Well, Rick, I'm going to get on out of here. I'm going to just make some more contact. It's good to get back on the air with you. It's good to make sure I got this meeting sitting up there recorded right at you. Make sure it's working real well. Everything's set out here, and I just got to come out here and play some FM this morning so we can get some good propagation at it. So, there's another Facebook group if anybody's interested in following 2-meter simplex activity. And it's Southeastern U.S. 2-meter simplex group. Someone added me. I was out on the National Calling Frequency through my sign out. And this guy ended up getting back to me. He told me, and the next thing I know, I talked to someone that was up in Indiana. And always try to check out that calling frequency. Do that 3 and 3. And if it's 3, 3, and 3, I believe it is, do that. Get out of the stack. Reach over there and get that national calling frequency. And get out the call sign. I mean, I've had fun with it. You never know where it's going to get you.
Well, hey, and that was a mouthful right there. I tell you, I appreciate you coming in and sharing all that information with us. And I tell you what, share that information to that Middle Tennessee Simplex page. We have a lot of followers on there that would probably wouldn't mind jumping in on that. All right. Hey, guess who we're hearing from? Tony. We just sent out a prayer request for everybody to pray for Tony. Kilo Quebec 4, November Kilo Charlie in Hartsville. He's been in the hospital for about 6 days with septic pneumonia, and they're working on getting him out of there. So in the meantime, he needs all the prayers that he can get, and he's playing along with us tonight with that question or trivia question, and he says New Hampshire. And then Robert, or Bob, we call him Hummingbird Bob, Kilo Delta 2, Juliet Papa, he's picked New Hampshire also. But anyway, let me get all caught up on all the check-ins. I think I got everybody. Well, I pretty much did when I just announced Bob. He was the only one I hadn't identified yet. Kilo Delta 2, Juliet Papa. And then, of course, we had Danny come in, Kilo Delta 4, Golf Oscar November, and we just had Brock checking in, Kilo 4, Bravo Tango November. All right. And thank you, Brock, for sharing that to the Facebook page. We'll hopefully somebody else will jump on there and check that out. All right, taking check-ins. Anybody anywhere, call now. Well, this is club night for Sumner County, so we may be wrapping this up early. So, and now, Tony, you can't guess twice. You already guessed New Hampshire. he may. Oh, you're changing it. All right. Are you changing it to New York? So, okay. Yeah, he may be on medicine or something. I don't know. We're going to take it, though. New York. All right. All right, there you go. So the question was, and I'm going to repeat it so everybody knows, is which state in the United States has apple cider as their state drink? And I wasn't really sure even states had drinks, but they do, I guess, as far as their state drink. And choices are Vermont, New Hampshire, Connecticut, or New York. And we'll take check-ins from anybody, anywhere. Call now. Oh, okay. He's got you're tired. Okay. Man, I hated hospitals. Especially 6 days. My goodness, you've got to be getting tired. They won't let you sleep out there. They won't let you sleep in hospitals hardly at all. By the time you get to sleep, they'll come in and need to take vitals. All right, well, I'm not hearing anybody. I don't know if that's going to mean we're going to have an early net, but I'm going to send out one more call. And if I don't get anybody, I'm going to go ahead and give out the answer. This is Kilo 4, Bravo Whiskey Alpha, and we're looking for check-ins. Anybody, anywhere, call now. Right, well, I'm going to tell you what, we would have had 2 right answers, but one person changed their answer. The answer is New Hampshire. So, Bob, I tell you what, you're on a roll. You're the only one that got that one right. You would have had a partner over there. And, well, yeah, it's a good thing you didn't go with your bride. Because, yep, it's New Hampshire. And I picked Vermont. Me and I believe it was somebody else picked Vermont. I can't remember who it was, I think, now. But I know somebody else picked it. There was, not sure. I think it was Mike. That might have been who it was. All right, well, I tell you what, we got through that, and we, you know, like I said, I play the game myself when I do this little thing, and so, you know, I didn't get it right. I don't get many of them right. I might have got one or two. But one thing for sure, Hummingbird Bob is on a roll. All right, well, I'm going to send out one more call, and we may shut this down. This is Kilo 4, Bravo Whiskey Alpha. Calling for check-ins. Anybody, anywhere, call now. All right, well, it is a club night, and a lot of my check-ins comes from Sumner County Amateur Radio Association members. So they're at a club meeting, and it's an important meeting because of that co-op event coming up this Saturday on the 11th at 9 o'clock. So they had a lot of things to work out and get ready for that. So there was going to be a good turnout for their club. But I'm going to tell you, we had 9 check-ins anyway, which is a good night for any net operator. At this time, well, I'm going to see if anybody has any final comments before I send out last call. All right, not hearing anything. Y'all keep Tony in your prayers. We need him out of that hospital and feeling better. Again, keep him lifted up. That would be Kilo Quebec 4, November Kilo Charlie, Hartsville. So keep him lifted up. We need him well and out of that hospital. He's got septic pneumonia, so they're trying to get biopsies, make sure they get the right medicine for him, get him out of there and home. All right, we're sending out last call. Anybody, anywhere, call now.
Well, hello there.
Man, it's been a while. Carlin, is that right?
Yeah, I just happened to finish washing up where I made a gallon of tea in there. And I mean, absolutely got through wiping up, drying off the stuff where I brewed the tea and stuff and putting it back up in the cabinet.
All right, Kilo Delta 4, Victor Uniform Whiskey, is that right?
Yes.
VUW. I was trying to remember the call, so I was like, Kilo Delta 4, Victor Uniform Whiskey.
Yep, that's correct. Yeah. Like I said, I was brewing tea, and I've been listening to the net, and I got done making me a gallon of tea, and I had to brew it like a half gallon at a time, and I do that, so I got it all done. I got the tea sitting in the refrigerator getting cold now, and I got everything washed up where I made it and put up, and I mean, I just literally walked in back through the house here and heard you say last call, and I thought, well, I got done with that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, did you hear the trivia question, and or did you hear the answer? Would you have got it right?
No, I had it on. I could hear the net was going, but I really couldn't hear what was being, said. I did hear you say about Tony right there, because I was just drying stuff up. I wasn't boiling no water or running the water in the sink where I was washing everything up. But no, I didn't hear the trivia question.
Okay, well, since you didn't hear it, you didn't hear the answer. Guess what? I'm gonna let you have a shot at it. The trivia question is which state in the United States has apple cider as their state drink? And I'm gonna give you a choice of 4 states. One of them is Vermont, New Hampshire, Connecticut, or New York.
To tell you the truth, I wouldn't have an idea. Just ain't got an idea. I would say all of them, because it's probably somebody's a little tipsy in all of them states, really.
Well, I took a guess at it because I didn't know, but I was like trying to think of which state would be a state known for growing the most apples, and Vermont come to mind. So that was what I picked.
Did you say Washington, like Washington State? Did you say that one?
No, that wasn't one of the picks.
Okay, I was trying to think of, because it seems like every time I went to buy apples, there's always, apples from the state of Washington. It's like it's the only place that grow an apple, And so I don't know. I haven't got a clue. I don't know.
Okay, well, I tell you, the answer was New Hampshire.
Yeah, well, apple cider now. That's not alcoholic.
No, I'm not even sure if it's the same as apple juice. I mean, I always thought that apple juice and apple cider is exactly the same thing, and I could be wrong, but I always thought apple cider was apple juice.
Well, I would have kind of thought that too. I don't know. Maybe cider's got more of a vinegar taste to it or something. I don't know. I ain't got it. I know they make cider vinegar. So I don't know. Probably a good thing to do is look up what cider is. What does that term cider mean? I guess it's maybe a process of how they made whatever it is, whether
It's
it be
apple
vinegar
juice and
or
apple
apple.
cider the same thing.
According to
All right, I just
apple
Googled
cider
it.
is fresh, unfiltered, and often unpasteurized. It's also considered a seasonal drink and can be hard to find outside of the autumn months. Apple juice, on the other hand, is filtered and pasteurized, which gives it a longer shelf life, a sweeter taste, and a smoother texture.
Okay, they're not the same. One is fresh and unfiltered. Apple cider is fresh and unfiltered and often unpasteurized, and is considered a seasonal drink and can be hard to find outside of the autumn months. Apple juice, on the other hand, is a filtered and pasteurized, which gives it a longer shelf life, a sweeter taste, and a smoother texture. So yeah, they're not the same.
No. So apple cider is raw apple juice. I guess. Well, I guess Robert Kennedy'd be going after that pasteurized stuff now, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't been keeping up. I've kind of turned off politics for a little while. It's hard. It's hard to keep up with them. I tell you, it's very, very depressing the way they do their job up there.
Yeah, they've got the whole nation, in my opinion, fooled into thinking they're going to do something. All they're going to do is ensure that the tax money keeps flowing in up there, and they can skim off as much as they can off the top. That's all of them's up there doing that.
Well, I was just wondering if the government shuts down, does the people still got to pay them?
I would think the pay ought to stop. Those congressional congressmen up there pay should stop also, in my opinion. Maybe that'd make them think about, so now, frankly, I don't care if they ever turn the federal government back on themselves. It's just like 9/11 when all them airplanes got set down on the ground. I didn't notice the earth didn't turn anymore. It got dark that night, and the next morning the sun come up.
Yeah, roger that. Well, they got to be some kind of an organization of some kind. Otherwise, it'd be complete chaos. But there has to be some kind of I guess, somebody's got to be in charge, or there's got to be a council of some kind. I think that's went on for a long time, but I think that the first thing they need to do, and I don't think stop paying them would hurt them. Those guys have made so much money over the years, they could probably work 5 years for free and it wouldn't hurt their pockets any.
And they also got all that money under the table coming in the back doors of their offices and stuff. So, they probably wouldn't need to pay. But, you said something that's kind of interesting. You said that if it wasn't an organization like that, the government, we would have all kinds of chaos. I believe we got it with them up there. If you sit back and look at it, it's nothing but a big cluster wad up there right now. It's full of chaos and everything. They can't even get the government to stay open. So, that's chaos right there. I don't know. It's just, you get everybody up there wanting to be the king or the boss.
Well, if you look at the Native Americans and you look at them and how they ran of course, they didn't have to take care of a whole country. They just took care of their tribes. But if you took that concept and used it for the nation, you had your chief, and then you had some little chiefs that worked under them. But everybody kind of took care of everybody when, and most of them did their own thing. They didn't have like government plans where, people, they had more chiefs than they did Indians, They had a small government, and there was, they pretty much had the laws, and if you broke them, there was consequences. And that's the main thing, is you got to have laws and you have to have consequences, but you don't really need to have all that government. That, what I'm saying?
Yeah, they got to try to make some program for this and a program for that, and a lot of those programs really are not necessary. It's just total waste of tax dollars. There's always somebody sitting around trying to scheme up some new program so they can increase taxes, so they increase the tax flow coming in. And, but, it's something where you stated about the Indians. There were these different Indian nations, and they took care of their people.
Yeah, the older folks.
In their nation.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, what's that movie with John Wayne? Trying to think what it is there. Where his wife kept leaving him, and at the end he whipped his wife. And I'm trying to think of the name of that movie. I can't think of the name of it. But anyway, he went to that trial, and that Indian chief, he spoke, and what he said to that council up there before they decided to incarcerate him again, that the Indians.
I got you in
He
here,
spoke about
Jason. Appreciate you
warfare
getting
was
in.
a good thing.
Kilo
He
Golf
said, like,
Bravo Mike
in,
Hotel.
in the Indian village, you know, no mouth went hungry or anything. That the chief saw that the elderly was taken care of, that they had meat, and they had, you know, they were not just cast aside like our society tries to do to the seniors. You know, once you get retired in this country, then apparently you're worth nothing, and you need to go away. You essentially need to die. You don't need a house. You don't need a refrigerator. You don't need a stove. We need to take that away from you, and you're a burden, and you need to just go away. And the Indians didn't think that way. And, you know, they took care of their people and stuff. And it ain't like sitting back and watching a bunch of congressmen up there in the Capitol Rotunda crybabying that they can't live on $175,000 a year, and that they need, quote, their income doubled, and then immediately go into how they need to cut Social Security. I just don't understand and get that at all. And I don't have any kind of respect for congressmen that think that way. How they got up there and they start making those kind of statements, I just don't understand how. I mean, somebody paid their way to get those kind of people in up there. But the unique thing about it is that those people that stand back and they talk like that, how they think that they're some kind of indentured king of some kind, one day they're going to be a senior, because that clock that's on the wall, it keeps on ticking. And every time it ticks off a second, that's one more tick that they have become a senior.
Yeah.
And they think it's not going to happen to them, but they're going to realize one day, they're going to wake up one day and they're going to be in their 60s, 70s, or 80s, and they're going to be like, well, what happened, you know? And then maybe things will change, and they'll end up having to figure out how they're going to pay their bills and stuff, because that's not guaranteed. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You know, they might have all the money in the world, they got their political power and stuff right now, but you know, tomorrow can come up, they can get involved in a car wreck, and it just take them right out of political office. I mean, we've seen that in the news, you know, in the past. It can happen. It was like yesterday, I went to pay the water bill down at Bethpage, and right up from the Bethpage Market going back towards Gallatin, maybe about a quarter mile, there used to be a Sunoco gas station, and then it turned into kind of like a little car lot, but now I think it's some kind of storage. It's just a little old cinder block building there.
I know where it's at.
Somebody in a pickup truck ran out of the road and hit the culvert there, and I'd say killed them, because when I went by, the people were just getting out of the car and going up to the truck. The truck was upside down, and the roof was completely crushed down. It was a four-door Chevrolet Ford. And I paid the water bill, and then I come back by. When I come back by, the police and ambulance still hadn't got there, but I could see the arm of the driver, his shoulder and his arm down to his elbow, and he wasn't moving through the driver's side of the window. And I thought, that man's dead, because the way it looked like maybe his neck or head was between the steering wheel itself and the roof of the car. You know, what best I can tell, and I was thinking the whole time, that man's dead.
He got pinned between
If
the
he's
steering
not,
wheel and the roof.
he's barely hanging on. And, of course, I went on, but there was a lot of people. I didn't want to be there to wait for the authorities when they got there. 2 ambulances passed me when I got up to Wolf Hill Road on 31E. I was going to Westmoreland to pay the electric bill and the internet up there. And then when I hit the bottom of the ridge, another ambulance was going that way. So I didn't pass any Sumner County police, so I'm assuming they were coming out of Gallatin. Plus, that's a state highway. There'd be a highway patrolman there. But I haven't found out nothing. I've researched on Google and stuff, and I haven't heard or seen anything. I don't know if the person died in it, or if there was anybody else involved in that vehicle. But the point. That man there, he was apparently heading north. He was going home, and he never made it home. And that's where these politicians have got this attitude in their head that they think they're going to live forever. And they're going to find out, you know, that don't happen. You're not guaranteed your next breath. And to be the way they are, these politicians are, cut, but give me a raise. I just don't get it.
Yeah, roger that. I mean, I'd tell you, there's, like I said, you know, even if they have money and they get the senior citizen, there's a lot of things they've got to look forward to, like health and getting around, and a lot of people store up all that money and have it ready and for their old age, and then they get old and then they find out they can't really enjoy it. You know, they don't take, you can't take all those trips and do this and do that because you're lucky if you can get up and down stairs, or so yeah, there's that to think about too.
Well, you know, they think they've got all that money piled off, and all it takes is one medical event to wipe it all out. My oldest brother here about 2 years ago had to have a liver transplant, and he lives up in Kentucky. Well, he had to go to Louisville, Kentucky for him to do it. The cost of that was $1.2 million. And that was just one incident. And I'm like, well, you know, you never can have enough money. You know, that's what gets me. These people, they keep grabbing and grasping and grabbing and grasping, and it's never enough money. You know, what's the point? You know, I don't know. The political power and the money and all that stuff, and they think I've got it made now. And like I said, you know, they can get all that political power they want and stuff. Well, I mean, look at John Kennedy. He was president of the United States. He went to Dallas. He didn't go back home. I mean, that's where he ended, down there. He was in the back of a car waving at people, having a good old time. Next thing you know, the top of his head blowed off.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's just an example. You just don't know what could happen. You could be in an airplane. That's why I don't get in airplanes, because there's no place to pull over up there if something goes wrong. And that sucker, can something go wrong, and there's only one place to be in an airplane. Either you're flying or you're not. And that's it. And, I don't know, people just don't, I don't know, they don't have a realistic look at life. You just never know.
Well, here's something to think about a little bit. It's getting off subject a little bit, but you just really brought it up in a way. Is, if you're on a boat, you have life rafts or you have life jackets. And, but if you're in a little boat, you got to have floating devices and things like that. So why isn't an airplane equipped with parachutes?
There are some smaller planes that are. The plane itself has got a parachute built into the top of it. Matter of fact, there was a plane crash here in Tennessee here a couple of months ago where a guy was flying in a plane, and something mechanically went wrong, and it just died, and he deployed the parachute out of the top of the plane, and it floated down. The problem is that I don't think you can control the plane as it's descending, you know, because it's literally dropping downward, and of course, and it's being carried by the breeze. And I think all you can do is just sit back and hope you don't land in the top of a tree or something. But I think that one did land in the top of a tree, which might have been better because that would be kind of cushiony as compared to the hard ground. You know, the limbs would give and stuff. But it depends on how fast the rate of drop you're doing, though, would have a lot to do. But they do make small planes with parachutes built in. They'll deploy in the area where the wings are attached to the top of it. Up there, there's a kind of an area right there. I guess that they try to center Well, they've got that built in at so that it would have the weight of the plane where it would be like it was if it was sitting on the ground. In other words, it wouldn't have the nose pointing down or the tail pointing down. Balanced, I guess you would say. But those big planes, I don't think they could make a parachute big enough for them.
Well, you was on to something. It wasn't quite the ideal I was thinking about. I was thinking about an individual because I've never parachuted out of anything or wouldn't even. But if I knew my plane was going down, I mean, I'd jump out and take a risk not knowing what I'm doing, just knowing that I've got a chance to parachute out, you know. But, you know, that ideal, I believe, I mean, if they can bring those spaceships down with those parachutes, and as large as those are, the Challenger, you know, the and those come in with those parachutes, you would think that they could do the same for commercial craft.
Well, where they're floating straight down or something like that, but still those space capsules, like during the 60s and stuff where they splashed down, that's a whole lot smaller than a jet. Plus, like the space shuttles, those parachutes deployed after it touched down, and that was to slow it down.
Oh.
You know, pretty much like they put those chutes on some of these dragsters in these drag strips. That's you know, like, oh, okay, we got it up to 500 miles an hour. Now we got to stop this dang thing because the end of the track's right down there. So, I don't know. It's, you know, everything's got its pluses and minuses. I mean, just think about cars just out driving. You'd be going down the road, you know, minding your own business, listening to the radio, and here's a vehicle coming in the opposite direction towards you, and you don't know the mental states of that person in that car. They liable to just decide that you look like the good car to hit head on to take themselves out. You just don't know, you know. And I actually seen a wreck happen over there on 52 over at Corwin. There was a girl that was in a car, and apparently she was on medication, and right down there on 52, as you're coming back towards Portland, where it starts going down grade, there's a bridge right there, and there's the old highway where you can turn back into the old highway and come back up to Corwin Church. Well, about the time she got down there, there was a big truck, like an electric service truck, that was coming from Oak Grove towards Portland, and she'd done weaved across the line 3 or 4 times, and I was like 5 cars back, and I thought she's going to hit somebody. Something's wrong with her, you know. And we got down there, she veered over to the right, and then veered just like she's making a left turn, right clear across back across our lane, and T-boned that big truck. Knocked that truck in a ditch over on its side. I never would have thought that little car would have done that, but it did.
Damn.
And of course I stopped and I called the EMS and said, look, you got a bad wreck over here. You know, this big truck is over, and one of the guys that was in the front seat was trapped on the passenger side because it was over in a ditch on the passenger side, you know. Great big old truck, a little small car, but when she had weaved over to the right and then just come right back into the traffic and went just straight into the side of that truck that was going towards Portland, knocked it clear on its side in the ditch. And they got down there and she was out, and apparently she'd been taking medicine and she shouldn't have been taking and was driving, you know, and just passed out.
Well, that's sad. I mean, there's a lot of that going on as far as distracted driving, whether it's drug-induced or looking at your phone. There's too many accidents caused that way. But, yeah, anyway, I ain't really got a lot left. I do think, though, that if they did have some kind of parachutes on them aircrafts, no matter how big they are, if they lose power and they're falling down due to mechanical errors, the drop would be so far that if you had, anything to slow it down, it might save some lives. I mean, like I said, you get out on a boat, you've got life preservers, and you have ways to save your life. So you would think that they would have ways to save your life if you was in a plane.
Yeah, well, you would think maybe they would do like they do in the Air Force, when something goes wrong, they eject. Have the seats where they would eject, but in an aircraft with a large number of people in it, you wouldn't want everybody to eject at the same time because they'd all be hitting each other probably up in the air. And then, it's depending on how the plane is crashing too. What if the plane is kind of twirling as it's going down? It makes it hard to eject. So, I don't know. When it comes to those commercial airliners, it's just...
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that.
If you're going to fly one, which I ain't, you're going to have to just cross your fingers and hope nothing happens. And if it does happen, maybe you get lucky and it crash lands instead of crash is. That's two different things. And anyway, they say when you're in an airplane and you're landing, pilots call landing a controlled crash, which it is. I mean, because it's right there at the very end. If nothing doesn't go right at the very end, then you end up crashing. So I don't know. But it's something I'm not planning no worried about.
Yeah,
is climbing on an airplane. I remember when Daddy worked at Avco in Nashville. He repainted this small airplane. He tore the plane down. It was for one of the bosses, and then painted the inside and out, and and they redone the engine and everything on it. And that guy told him, "When you get done with this, Mr. England, I'm going to take you up in this airplane." And Daddy said, "Well, that's well and fine. I'll get your airplane stand out for you and painted that thing, but I'm not getting in that airplane for nothing."
Yeah, that's almost sound like me when I was working on one of those jet boats out there, and it had like a 440 Magnum engine in it or something like that. It was powerful. And after I rebuilt the motor and got it all running, the guy wanted me to go with him when he test drive it. And I was like thinking, man, no, I really don't. You take it out and you tell me how it does. He made me get out there with it, but I'm going to tell you something. Doing 90 mile an hour on water is a lot different than doing 90 mile an hour on land. And when you realize that you're not really touching the water and you're just kind of scooting across the top of it, it was scary, to tell you the truth. And I didn't want to go, but he because I had done all the work, he said if something goes wrong, he wanted me there to kind of fix it or observe it. And but needless to say, I never worked on any more boats after that.
Hell, I believe I'd have told him, I'll stay on the dock and watch it with my binoculars while you get out there, and if something goes wrong, then I might paddle out there to you if you're still alive. But I ain't getting in that daggone thing. You don't never know what's underneath that water. On top of that, that's what gets me, those people getting on those boats, and they go, and if they haven't been on that lake or something, they just go down through there just as wide open as they can, and that boat's kind of skipping and stuff. And if they don't know where there's maybe the top of a tree, where they, because some of those lakes, they've got trees, dead trees that are still sticking up in them like that. They're not in the main channel, but if you're going down through there and you don't know that lake or something, and you hit one of those things, whatever it could be, that's underneath the surface that you can't see, and you're running wide open, you're probably going to get hurt, if not killed. Yeah. I don't know. People just take all kinds of chances all the time, and they don't realize how fragile life is and how quick you can just be gone in the blink of an eye. And It's kind of like I told a guy down at Lowe's one day down there, and he looked at me amazed when I said it. I said, you know, I forgot what we was talking about, but I told him, I said, I just have, to me, life's hard enough to get through without making it harder on yourself. And he looked at me and said, that's exactly what my daddy used to tell me when I was growing up. I said, well, it is. I mean, you just got to use your cotton-picking little brain right up there, a little peanut up there, that cranium up there, which you better be using. If you ain't, you're going to get hurt.
Well, I tell you what, I thought I was a goner. He turned it like he was going to turn around in that lake, and it started skipping sideways across the top of the water. And then it started slowing down, and when it finally got slow enough, that whole boat kind of tilted over on its side like it was just going to flip over. But my goodness, it didn't flip over. And but I guess he was trying to turn it, and he turned it too sharp, and it was like a skipping rock across the top of the water until it slowed down enough to where it was like standing on its edge and about to fall out of the boat. But and far as I know, he just bought it, and he didn't know anything about. He never had one before, so it was my first rebuild on a boat, and it was probably the first time he was driving one. So it was a disaster in the making for sure. So I'm lucky to be here. I know that.
Yeah, well, yeah. I understand. I remember a friend of mine was telling me about some guy that had a Corvette over here on, they call it Stinking Creek Road. That's what I call it. Fire Tire Road over here. And they got out over there, two guys in that thing, and one of them had just got the car apparently, and they got out playing in the thing, and they got over there and got themselves killed.
Yeah.
You know, just tore that Corvette just tore all to pieces over there.
They ain't made of nothing.
Got out trying to see how fast it go, and that was all a little old narrow back road over there. It was paved, but still the thing was windy. That road is in a hollow, and it runs right next to a rather deep creek. And I don't know.
I remember when that
people
happened.
just don't realize. They don't think about a car either. They think that they get inside a car and they think they're safe, and they don't realize, hey, look, you just got a piece of glass that's right up there, that windshield, and then you got a piece beside you and one over on that other door, and if you got two more doors, there's a piece of glass there. That's just glass. Think about it. Just glass. And then there's the metal of the car, and yeah, it's got strength for integrity of the build, but that's about it, you know. And I don't know what makes people think they get in the car and they think they're indestructible. You know, I mean, you can look on some of the wrecks. You go to YouTube and put in like wrecks and worst auto wrecks and stuff, and look at some of them cars. You know, they just look like somebody picked it up and crushed it in their hand, you know, like a wad of paper. You know, and they'd have an arrow point down saying the driver's right there and he didn't make it.
Roger that. Yeah, I remember hearing about that. Remember when it happened. It's been a few years back. But, well, I tell you what, I'm about to get off of here. I was doing last call, and I'm about to wrap this net up. If you got anything else, I'm going to send out another last call, see if anybody else gets in here before I do. But do you got anything else you'd like to share with us before we do that?
I don't guess so. I hope everybody's still listening, is having a good old time out there, and they're staying. It got cold this morning. I turned the heat on, so
Yeah.
At least I did. I don't know about everybody else, but I hope everybody's doing okay, and I don't understand warm. Of course, they might think this feels good. Me, I don't know. It just gives me a little chill. So I ain't got nothing else, and I've talked enough here, and me and you've talked enough right here. Maybe if there's anybody else they'll jump in there and you'll get maybe another check-in or two. So with that said, I'll shut up and turn it back over to you and let you get some more check-ins there. So with that said, KD4VW, turn that back over to net control.
Roger that, Carlin. I tell you what, we talked enough that we might have, should have, or could have just about solved a couple of the world's problems. I don't know. Anyway, it was entertaining. I appreciate it. It was a good conversation. We did, like I said, we might have solved some of the problems, or maybe give somebody an idea. All right, well, anyway, let's see. Does anybody else want to get in here before I close this net down? This is Kilo 4, Bravo Whiskey Alpha. Well, we may have lost them. We were talking so long. It's all right, though. I enjoyed it. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and close this net down. We had 11 check-ins, the time duration of 1 hour and 5 minutes. I want to thank everybody that took the time out to check in. Be sure to keep Tony Creasy in your prayers. Pray that he gets healed up and out of that hospital. Been in there 6 days already. Got that septic pneumonia, and I know he's ready to get out there and go home. So Tony, if you're listening, God bless you, brother. We're going to keep you in our prayers and our thoughts. So at this time, I'm going to shut this net down, and I'm going to return this frequency back to its normal amateur radio use. This is Kilo 4, Bravo Whiskey Alpha, saying good night and God bless. All right, man. We appreciate everybody that follow along live on Facebook, too. And I'm going to shut this down and get in there and relax a minute before I get into bed. And like Carla said, I turned my heat on a little bit this morning, 48 degrees, after having 80 and 90 degree days. That's kind of cold. Came on pretty quick. All right, well, good night, everybody. Catch you next week.